The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to The Big Issue this Tuesday, March 22, 2022. My name is Bobby Badiban. With me in the studio today are in-house analyst Kes Hammond, with leadership sister publication National Economy, and of course leadership business editor Nse Anthony Uko. Okay, I call it correctly? Yes. Oh my God, this is curious. Well, this is the first time having this gentleman with me discussing business. And today the big issue is the planned intervention by the Central Bank of Nigeria to help ameliorate the power crisis in Nigeria. But the Central Bank of Nigeria yesterday stepped forward to intervene in the matter, raising hopes of quick resolution. The Central Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele, yesterday announced this at the end of the Monetary Policy Committee of the APES Bank. And today we shall be looking at this intervention and talk about its implication, and as well, I believe, the goods or the goodies it's actually have potent for the national economy. And the two guests today are financial and economic people. Is that correct?
Yeah, somehow.
All right, let me start with Nse. The central bank has stepped forward to perform a non-traditional role to save the economy, because it said at the end of the day, all this crisis we have effect on the economy. And since it's the one in charge, it step forward to actually help. Now, give us a sense of this planned intervention by the central bank. What does it portend?
Okay. Yeah, you're saying it's a non-traditional role.
Yeah.
Though in recent times, especially in our climate in Nigeria, we have seen the central bank intervening in a lot of issues.
Exactly.
We have seen intervention from the central bank in the power sector. We have already seen in aviation. We have seen in small businesses, in all
even the health sector.
Yes, the
aftermath of the coronavirus outbreak.
health sector. So all of this, the central bank does in order to be able to stabilize macroeconomic indicators like inflation, so that to stabilize those monetary indicators, so that the economy runs smoothly. For in this case now, we have had this fuel situation.
Yeah, for almost 2 months now.
Yes, almost 2 months now. And the NNPC that is primarily saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that Nigerians have enough of this commodity to run their homes and businesses has so far not been up to speed in ensuring that the crisis is tackled. So, and it's been affecting prices. We saw that in February, the inflation figure just came up, and the headline inflation went up by a whole 1 basis point. And so far, if nothing is done, by the time this March inflation is computed, it's likely that it will go higher than we have seen. And so the central bank has to step in. And it's currently in talks with the NNPC and relevant
Power regulators
to ensure in which area that it can come in to ensure that this crisis is brought under control.
That's good. Nse has given us a good background to this situation. Mr. Kes, let me ask you, can we say NNPC, which is the State Oil Corporation, has failed in its core duties of making sure that we have fuel available in the country?
Yeah, by the mere fact that the NNPC has to step in again.
CBN or NNPC?
Yeah, sorry, I said the NNPC. The CBN
has to
step in again. It clearly spells out dysfunction somewhere. That dysfunction, well, for lack of knowledge,
maybe lack of right words to use.
Not right words.
Okay, knowledge of the working of the oil industry.
Yes, for lack of knowledge, I can't lay my thoughts on any other institution except the NNPC. They are the sole importer of fuel
Yeah.
into the country, the sole exporter. So
Yeah.
yes, so if we are having this shortfall, no, this is something that started 2 months ago, and like you said, I have discussed on a number of occasions on air and off air the amount of fuel brought into, because this thing started with the
Of
off
spares,
spec.
yes, yes. And now the story has
The
changed.
story has changed with the amount of fuel that was brought in, that off spec fuel, which was, according to the authorities, 300 million liters of fuel. 300 million liters of fuel is Nigeria's fuel stock for just less than a week,
Okay.
assuming they had to do some cleanup. How long does cleanup take? And 2 weeks ago, they were beating their hands on their chest that, look, we have how many liters?
Up to 1.7 billion
Billion
liters.
Exactly.
liters. Where is this 1.7 billion liters? The fuel crisis is exacerbating every day, every day.
Despite pronouncement, promises by government agencies.
And by this extension of help from the CBN again, it clearly shows that there is dysfunction somewhere, and that dysfunction, I, for lack of knowledge, I can't lay my thoughts on any other institution except the NNPC.
All right. One thing that came to mind when this was announced yesterday is the fact that, okay, how will CBN, even though you are not close to CBN, how will CBN, but maybe this should be for the financial man, how will CBN actually intervene? Because for me, NNPC has never complained of money. And what CBN can only do is to make money available for distribution of these fuel across the country. So in what way specifically? I don't understand.
Okay, if I may,
Okay.
if I may take that, we have seen in recent times that, especially with the issue of the subsisting fuel subsidy,
Okay.
for in January, the NNPC did not remit anything to the
Federation
federal
account.
federation account for onward, and that is not the first time. We've had this scenario in the past, where the NNPC will come up and say, all the money
We're supposed to
that, yes,
have
that
as
we
profits
made,
has been
yes, we
expended
have
somewhere.
spent it on
Fuel
fuel
subsidy.
subsidy and all that. And so, like, case has brought up, it indicates that there's a dysfunction somewhere, and the NNPC has really not come out to say the real reason behind what we are having now. And from the move that CBN is making, the CBN is trying to discuss with them, where can we come in? Is it in the area of import? Do we bring out funds for you to be able to import to augment what you have, to import much more of this product? Or is it in terms of distribution? So those are the two areas where the CBN is looking at coming in, bringing in funds. And with it, let's just hope that it will put an end, because it's
Yeah,
brought in
What,
untold hardship.
you know,
So
let's,
NNPC might be suffering from cash crunch.
Yes.
which I doubt.
Why?
I remember in 2020 when COVID-19 hit,
Yes.
there was a time when the price of fuel, Nigeria's burning light was selling for less than $20, and there was a day when the Texas,
Okay.
West,
West Texas, the WTI in the US.
Okay.
Of course, that the US crude oil went for less than zero. Yes, because they couldn't shut down their machines, and the capacity to produce fuel was there. So nobody was buying. And so they were basically giving out the fuel or the crude oil. At that time, Nigeria stopped basically stopped subsidizing fuel. And it went on like that until the price of fuel went back to the price of crude oil went back to either $35 or $40 or $50
Around
thereabout.
$50.
Yes, that is when they announced that they were subsidizing back to subsidy. Yes. At the beginning of this year, in fact, according to the budget, it was first the price of crude oil, the benchmark for crude oil was pegged at $57. That was the initial budget presentation before the Senate increased it to $63. So anything above $63 is supposed to be excess crude, go to extra revenue, right? And based on projections, of course, we know that when the federal government decided to reverse their decision to remove subsidy, yes, the NNPC requested 3 trillion in the budget for fuel, which is yet to be approved, though. But at least for now, let's say average, as of last night, Nigeria's Bonny Light was selling for $108, whereas Brent was going for 111. Yes. So the price of crude oil has actually gone up, meaning there is supposed to be more money. Even if we are importing fuel for more money, at least we are exporting more money. Where is this more money?
Case, you seem to be not
Forget the fact?
Yes, forgetting
What's that
something.
fact?
That the higher
The
price
of crude oil, the higher the price
higher the price of petrol.
But
And
there is some
higher
point. I have done some personal
the
calculation.
higher the subsidy
Yes,
that Nigeria pays.
yes. There is some point of inflection.
All right.
There is that point of reflection where it begins to you begin to benefit. Are you saying that look, oil windfall happened in 1970, in the early 1970s with the Yom Kippur war? Okay. Nigeria hardly had refineries at that time. There were just about one or two. In the 1980s, there was crisis again. Nigeria had a windfall. 1991 Gulf War, Nigeria had a windfall. 2006, was it the 2006 financial crisis? Nigeria had an oil windfall. All of these times, these previous times, Nigeria has been having oil windfall.
We have issue with corruption.
Why can't we have oil windfall this time?
We have corruption. There is corruption.
There is corruption.
Proper
That's just
accountability
the point.
is missing. All right, so we continue this discussion, but we need to go on short break. Viewers, this is the big issue. We will continue when we come back.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. It's still the big issue for this Tuesday evening, March 22, 2022. And with me in the studio, our in-house analyst, Inse Anthony Nko, Leadership Business Editor, and of course, Kes Amon of the National Economy Leadership Sister publication. We have been looking at the planned intervention by the Apex Bank, Central Bank of Nigeria, to avert energy crisis in Nigeria. I hope with time, CBN will come out to tell Nigerians the specific amount of money it will be using to help NNPC overcome supply challenges in this downstream sector of the petroleum industry. Now let's look at the other side of the story, which is the planned intervention in the power sector. Now, the CBN yesterday said it has spent over 1.3 trillion naira already to support DISCOs and GENCOs in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, NESI. Now it's planned again to go back and help them. I don't know. Let me start with a case. Do we continue to practice what a lot of people call feeding bottle economy? Apology to, I think, I don't know, I can't recall either Senator Dino Melai or Senator Ike Ekwerimadu who invented this lexicon, the feeding bottle economy, where you keep feeding somebody, they don't grow, you keep feeding them, and you don't know to what end. Is this justified?
I don't think so. You know, the very purpose of privatizing the energy sector, power sector,
Has been defeated.
has been defeated because government was spending money subsidizing power when these assets were in the hands of government.
Private business people.
Yes. Now the private business people that were supposed to bring in some fresh money investment. We don't see the investment. All we hear is customers are underpaying. We don't have price effective tariff. That's all we continue to hear. And you know, at a time, I continue to say it. In 2013 or 2014, when Bafnaji was Minister of Power, I remember this man. I don't know what he did, but we had fairly stable power supply across the country.
Can you recall specifically when was that? The year?
It was between 2013 and 2014. Bafnaji was the Minister of Power at that time. There was fairly stable power, and I remember a number of banks said they were spending less on fuel, on diesel. A number of companies were saying they were spending less on diesel. I made an attempt to sell my generator because I was getting enough power in Lagos where we don't have enough power. Yeah, I was having enough power, at least enough to avoid or giving attention to generators. Later on, I was in 2020. I was in an interview with an important stakeholder in the industry, the former chairman of NEC, Dr.
Sam Amadi.
Dr. Sam Amadi told me that this same issue where you have the GENCOs saying we are supplying enough power, the transmission company saying we don't get it, or the distribution company saying we don't get it. Those are the things that Bavnaji was connecting. And he gave an illustration. He said, imagine you are in here in this room and you are infirm, you can't move. You make an order for food. The food comes. The person who brings the food says, I can't enter that room because of so and so reason. Or maybe because the person is ill or infectious, something. I can't enter that room. Now, the infirm person cannot go and get the food. He remains hungry. The person who brings the food cannot bring it in, so it remains there. He said those are the connections Bafnaji was making, for which we had fairly stable power supply at that time. Unfortunately, Bafnaji was forced to resign. But since that time, and I'm bold enough to say that since that time, I have never, and before that time, I had never seen power supply that's steady as at that time compared to that time. So there is something that is going on inside there. Why can these people get their acts together? At least by now we're supposed to have at least an improved power supply. Look, if before the privatization, the so-called privatization, we were having say 8 hours of electricity
Then to
on
what end?
average, and was things were supposed to improve with privatization, and today we are still having 8 hours, 7 hours, 6 hours.
To what
Nothing
end?
has
To
been
what
changed.
end?
So there is no point.
You're
Uh,
mentioning
this-
8 hours. You're very privileged to be having
8 hours, Abi. So it's a
Yes,
privilege for
yes.
something we are paying for. Through the nose,
And
we are
of
paying
course,
for,
your
not
bill
free
will come,
service.
especially if you are
Now,
on this estimated bill.
already
Your bill will come.
in the last 1 month since when this all started, or so more than a month.
Your bill will
The
come.
petrol scarcity started more than a month now.
Yes,
But for
close
the
to
electricity,
2
maybe the last 4 weeks or so. Now Nigerians are already feeling the brunt of these inefficiencies for me,
Yes.
both in the petroleum sector and the electricity,
Power sector.
exactly the power sector. Now let me show you the implications just today, some of the implications of this. Our sister publication, the National Economy, on its front page today talk about banks cutting operating hours because of rising cost of diesel. And you know the implication of that to their customers.
Yes.
And again, just this afternoon, the news came that the DSTV multi-choice is jacking up the prices of all its bouquets effective April 1, 2022. And in the statement, they said, owing to rising inflation and cost of doing business, we have to take these prices up. So when will Nigeria actually feel that they have government in place? Everything is almost going out of control. And lastly, few months ago, the president Muhammadu Buhari fired the then minister of power, Engineer Salim Mama. They never told us what happened last year, a few months ago. Yeah, they never told us what happened. But majority of Nigerians believe that it was owing to inefficiency. Now we have somebody new in place. Nothing,
Before you ask, can
Insane.
I just say something? This you mentioned the cost of doing business.
Yes,
But the health cost is actually something that we need to consider also. And that health cost has implications for productivity.
exactly.
There are many people at night who don't sleep now. Remember, we are in the heat season. Many people don't sleep. I've seen a number of colleagues today who look sleepy. And I ask them, what is happening? They say, I've not slept for the past 2 weeks.
Okay, easy. Let me ask. See, I have spoken about inefficiency. I don't know if you agree with me.
Yes, I do agree because, like, if we look at the uh, megawatts that's of electricity that is being produced, Nigeria has been hovering at
Around
4,000 megawatts
for a country of
for a
over 200
country
million
of
people.
over 200 million people.
You know, South Africa.
Where-
Wait, South Africa has less than 70 million people. I want to believe
South Africa has
60
about 14 million people.
just 40 million people.
Yes.
But do you know their capacity, generation capacity for power? 50,000 megawatts. And that country need only 20,000 megawatts.
Actually, Nigeria produces something in the neighborhood of 70,000 megawatts.
How?
all
The
the
generators that we run,
self-generated.
we generate our own
Yes,
power.
it is
Out of this
self-
70,000,
it's self-generated.
out of this
Oh my
70,000, the country produce
To keep the country running.
To
Yes,
keep the
the
country-
country,
yeah.
the power authorities actually produce about 4,000 megawatts.
While
The
we
remaining
complement.
66,000 is produced
But
by
that means
the-
my own effort too can be counted.
Of course.
I have
Of course, it's being counted. Your effort is being counted. Your
So where is government when I
self-generating
do this for
power.
myself? Where is the government?
That is where the issue of inefficiency comes in. When we look at this issue of privatization, I always draw the case of the telecom sector, where privatization came in and then the sector turned around more or less overnight, if we can put it that way.
Yes.
And it was with the same enthusiasm that Nigerians accepted the power sector privatization. But this is the 9th year, and all we have had is excuses. In last week, the national grid broke down 2 times within 36 hours, and there is no backup. there is no backup. So what have we been doing? The intervention that the Central Bank of Nigeria, 1.3
trillion
trillion
already spent.
already spent, what did it go
Public
into?
money. Public money to support private business.
support
That will bring
private-
estimated billing to you.
Come back.
Where did it go? What are the performance yardsticks to indicate that all these monies have been pumped in the last 9 years post privatization, that it has brought about some form of
Improved
benefit
living standard.
Yeah,
Nothing.
improvement in the power supply. We are yet to see that.
Well.
We've been having lots and lots of excuses.
Exactly. We're
And
running out.
Nigerians are calling that we need to see what our monies
Yeah,
are.
value for
Taxpayers'
money. Exactly.
money.
We need to get
We need
value
to
for
get
money.
it.
But we're running out of time now. Kes, let me come back to you. What will you think the CBN intervention should look like for the power sector? For me, I want to believe, it should not be about giving these discos and gencos money again, since you have spent over 1.3 trillion naira already. Why won't you say, okay, we are supporting you again, but in this way, we have money, let's look at the energy mix. The hydro power, we're not getting anything from it. The gas powered plants are not also working optimally. Okay, the CBN want to invest in the solar power, which will be contributed to the national grid to make more power available for Nigerians. Don't you think the CBN intervention should look that way, rather than saying, come again, take this money and go?
I think so. The rural electrification
Project.
they are making some inroads with this solar power. At least the people who are benefiting, or they have reached, the people they have reached up to now, at least they are enjoying 24-hour power supply. And that is good news, at least for those of our folks in the village, in the villages. Such a thing will be difficult to work in the cities because we consume more power. Solar power can't carry the kind of load that we consume in
How about the city centers?
Especially the businesses.
Especially the businesses.
Well, just to have it in the mix to help, to supplement.
I support a recent bill in the House that states invest in power. And when they
To decentralize the power sector.
Yes. So
move it from concurrent list, from the exclusive list to the concurrent list of the
That is what
Constitution.
I support. That I don't see what the CBN. Look, monies are supposed to be used for more important infrastructure, which include not those drain pipes of they giving money to the discos and the gencos or whoever. Maybe we should have better roads with the taxpayers' money instead of these power people. Give these things to states and let them generate their own power and make money out of it.
Exactly.
There will be more efficiency there instead of giving it to these.
Exactly. More efficiency, transparency,
Transparency
value for
also,
money,
yes.
public money. All right, finally, Inse, let me also ask a similar question in a different way. Don't you think the CBN intervention should look like this? The CBN coming to say, after this mass metering program started, millions of Nigerians are still unmetered. We are still complaining about estimated billing. Why can't the CBN come and say, okay, we are investing social amount of money into mass meter production to be distributed to Nigerians free of charge, to also help the power sector?
Of course, the mass metering program is ongoing.
The impact is not.
Yes. The authorities said they've just completed the phase 0, which dealt with close to 1 million meters. That the next phase is about to kick off, and that would involve about 4 million.
So the
this has been going
intervention can
But
accelerate.
but what I'm saying is, of course, it's funded by the CBN and World Bank.
Previously?
Yes.
Oh, good.
The ongoing mass metering program is funded by the CBN and World Bank. So if the central bank is looking at further intervention,
It can fast track.
Yes. But what I'm saying is that the intervention should target not consumption but production.
Exactly.
CBN has been paying for consumption.
Let's get more power,
Yes,
more capacity for the sector.
electricity has been generated and consumed, but the money was not enough. Then CBN steps in rather than fixing the infrastructure that will allow more power to be generated and actually distributed to the people. Because right now, the generating companies, they generate much more than what we have on the national grid, but there is no infrastructure
to convey
it.
So this power will follow.
So that is what I think the CBN should focus on. Infrastructure. Stop funding consumption, but look at production.
That's high level inefficiency, wasting power.
Yes,
Exactly.
And we're paying huge amounts of money for it. Many thanks to Inse and Tony Luko, Leadership Business Editor, for joining us this evening. And of course, the big man, here's Amon of the Leadership sister publication, The National Economy. The big issue is an issue that concerns all Nigeria and all Nigerians. And of course, we continue to unheart and discuss them on this program every day, Monday to Friday. My name remains Bode Gbadebo. George Agba will return tomorrow for the Wednesday edition. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.